They're down here in Nipple Town. Tina, that's such a answer. You're going to just dab off your nipples. Yeah, that says tongue tie. You should clip it. The blood that's in the milk is not going to harm your baby. If you have mastitis on top of a painful breastfeeding experience, it's a bit of a recipe for disaster. How are those nips? Sore? Here's what's wrong. I'm going to answer the question once and for all, why does breastfeeding hurt? And the answer is, it shouldn't. You're like, Tina, that's such a answer. Just stay with me for 1 second. Is breastfeeding going to feel a certain kind of way? Yes, absolutely it is. You have a baby learning how to breastfeed on fresh postpartum nipples. Of course it is going to feel a certain kind of way, but is it going to hurt so bad that you need to like grab onto a stress ball and like clench up your butt muscles as hard as you can? No. Should the pain of breastfeeding be getting worse as your nursing session is going on? No. Should your nipples be coming out of your baby's mouth bruised, cracked, bleeding? Absolutely not. But for a lot of you, this is happening. And so I do want to go over why it might be happening and what you can do to help it. There's actually quite a few reasons why breastfeeding might be hurting you. And one of the first things I always look at, because it's a pretty common reason that breastfeeding is hurting, is your baby's latch. Because if they have a shallow latch, oftentimes that results in more discomfort for you. And today we're talking about latches with these two boobs. You'll notice that they don't actually look like boobs. And that is because when I use a boob that looks like a boob, YouTube doesn't like it. So if anybody from YouTube BoobTube wants to look into that, I sure would appreciate it. Anyway, your baby's latch. This is really going to make or break how comfortable this is for you. If they have a nice deep latch, that is because not only do they have the nipple in their mouth, they also have areola, and then sometimes they even have some breast tissue in their mouth. So not only is it more comfy for you, it also makes it better for their breastfeeding overall, because it makes it so that your nipple is going farther back in their mouth. And to have a really efficient latch, your nipple actually has to go quite far back. Right now, take your tongue, run it along the roof of your mouth to where that harder tissue gets a little bit soft. That is how far back in their mouth your nipple has to go for that really effective feeding. So you'll see, this is a deep latch. They have the areola, some tissue. Look how far back that is. Now, if they are actually just latched here with this shallow latch, they're down here in Nipple Town, this is going to be really, really uncomfortable for you, and it is going to lead to less efficient, less complete milk removal, which can actually tank your breast milk supply. So this is why a shallow latch, it is no good. It's likely going to cause you pain. Remember, you are breastfeeding. You are not nipple feeding. And if a latch feels crappy for you, chances are you are not going to want to breastfeed long term, because you think of how often you have to do that. Are you going to want to put a baby on your breast 8 to 12 times in 24 hours when it feels like razor blades are going through your skin? Yeah, probably not. So I have lots of videos on how to get a nice deep latch. I will put one up top right now, but what you could do, big favor to me, watch this one all the way through, hit subscribe. At the very end, I promise you, I will put that same video up for you. You can just click on it and keep on learning. If you're having pain and your baby's weight gain is slow or inconsistent, this could be caused by an oral tether. You will know that as a tongue or a lip tie. Basically, you have a piece of tissue that is restricting the movement of your baby's tongue. Now, this piece of tissue right here, it usually thins and recedes right before your baby is born, but sometimes it doesn't, and if it is thick or tight, then your baby won't be able to move their tongue as they need to effectively breastfeed, because we know that babies need to be able to extend their tongue past that lower lip, and they also need to be able to take that tongue and cup it underneath your nipple, because this is what causes them to have a good latch and what causes them to have the suction to remove that milk. And not only that, they have to actually move their tongue in like a wave-like motion to move that milk from where it comes out of your nipple towards the back of their throat to be able to swallow it. So movement of your baby's tongue, it is really, really important. And so breastfeeding may not be effective, which would mean maybe your breast milk supply might be affected, and maybe they aren't transferring enough milk to keep that weight gain on track that we like to see for healthy growth and development. And of course, if they're slipping on and off your nipple because they can't maintain that suction, that's going to be really, really uncomfortable for you. Basically, if you think about it, try to eat, but without moving your tongue all that much and having like a band attached to your tongue, keeping it backwards in your mouth. That would be kind of what it would be like for a baby. Tongue ties come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are going to greatly impact your baby's ability to feed and your comfort. Some of them are going to have a really minimal effect on those things. But if your baby does have a tongue tie, here are some of the things that you might see going on with them and some of the things that you might experience yourself. Ultimately, treatment for a tongue tie is going to be clipping that tongue tie or a frenotomy. But That is not to say that just because your baby has a tongue tie, they have to have it clipped. What I always say is if you think your baby might have a tongue tie or you're experiencing any sort of feeding issues in your breastfeeding journey, seek out an IBCLC. They're going to do a really thorough assessment and help to kind of get you on the right track and maybe give you some answers and some insights as to what's actually going on, because they're not just going to say, yeah, that's a tongue tie, you should clip it. They're going to say, okay, it looks like they have a tongue tie. They're going to do a feeding assessment, an oral assessment, a health history. They're going to talk about your baby's birth, how things went, how the feeding is going, what things feel like for you. It's really, really thorough, and it is a really, really great resource. However, if your baby has a tongue tie and it is really affecting how they are feeding, it's affecting how you are feeling with the feeding, your pain levels with the feeding, and really if it's affecting their weight gain and their ability to grow and develop, then likely, yes, a frenotomy will be suggested, aside from just changing the latch and changing the positioning. And lastly, how are you feeding your baby? Like what position do you have them in? Because not every position is going to work for your baby's anatomy. Remember, every baby's different. Every feeding journey is different as well. So maybe your last baby loved side lying and you used it all the time and loved it, but maybe this baby's anatomy and your breast tissue, that's just not compatible in a side lying anymore. So if you're having pain with breastfeeding, try changing up your breastfeeding position, because that's going to change the angle that your nipple is in your baby's mouth, which might end up being more comfortable. So that's the top 3 reasons why you could have pain, okay? A shallow latch, or a lip or a tongue tie, or malpositioning with a position that just doesn't work for your baby. Now, I always say number 1 is going to be fix the latch. Fixing the latch, that's my boo, that's the one I go to. But maybe you are deep into it already and you're already having nipple pain or nipple damage. You're still going to try those things, but what can we do to make this more comfortable? First, you can try hand expression to actually get that milk flow going before you latch your baby on. And if you have one side that's a lot more painful than the other, you can latch baby on the side that's more comfortable. And then you get your letdown, and then you can move them over to the side that is a bit more uncomfortable, because pain can actually reduce milk flow, and that can lead to engorgement, which can lead to mastitis. And mastitis is very uncomfortable, and if you have mastitis on top of a painful breastfeeding experience, it's a bit of a recipe for disaster. You can also talk to your provider about over-the-counter pain medications. Oftentimes Advil will be recommended, and just take that as it is recommended to you. And then you can also maybe do some warm compresses and some relaxation exercises to really help that milk flow over that painful situation. Once you've corrected an underlying cause, you can actually try moist wound healing so your nipples can heal up without any scab formation. Once you're done feeding your baby, you're going to take a clean, dry cloth and you're going to just dab off your nipples to remove any surface wetness. Then you're going to take a little bit of lanolin, like a pea-sized amount, and you are going to dab it onto your breast. I love the one from Lanzano. It is hypoallergenic. There are also some great nipple butters out there that I love as well. And you just want to dab it on. You don't want to be like rubbing it across your nipples, adding friction. Just dab it on, okay? You can also use a hydrocolloid gel pad. I call these Nipple 911, nipple spa therapy. These are phenomenal for nipples that are really feeling not well. And then you can also do like a silver nursing cup. This is new from Lanzano. Silverettes also has one. These are great for a couple of reasons. One is that it actually provides like a protective barrier for your nipple without things rubbing on it. I love that for sore nipples. The other reason is that the silver itself has healing properties in it, and these are really simple to use. You can basically just express a little bit of breast milk, kind of just rub it on the nipple or put a couple of drops in here, and then just place this over your nipple and just let everything do the healing work that it needs to do. With these, you do not want to use your butters, your creams, your balms in conjunction with this. It is one or the other, and you don't want to use these 24/7. You do want to give your nipples a break and let them air dry from time to time. And I know that this is scary, but if your nipples are cracked and bleeding, it is still safe to latch your baby and to breastfeed. The blood that's in the milk is not going to harm your baby. But I also know that a lot of people are not comfortable with that, so they actually opt to bottle feed their baby while their nipples are healing. And so if this is you, you like it, I love it, I am going to give you a couple of tips to protect your breast milk supply and to protect your breastfeeding journey. The first one is anytime you're giving your baby or anytime your baby would have been latched at the breast, I want you to put on a breast pump and I want you to empty your breast or come as close as you can to emptying your breasts. And that is because our brain, if suddenly our baby was feeding 8 to 12 times in 24 hours and now they're off the breast for like 1 or 2 days, your brain's going to be like, oh, I guess we don't really need all that breast milk. And it's going to absolutely pull back on the amount of breast milk that you are producing. So what you need to do is when your baby is feeding, or every 3 hours or so, put on your breast pump and have a pumping session. That stimulation at the breast and the removal of the breast milk is what is going to keep your breast milk supply protected, because to make more milk, you need to remove more milk more often. Without your baby at your breast stimulating and taking that milk out, your brain is not going to continue to get that production going. And the second thing you can do to protect everything is, if you are going to be bottle feeding, first off, pick a bottle shape that's going to support how your baby feeds at the breast. So you're looking for something that is in a triangular shape. It's going to have a round tip and a gradual slope to a wide base, because that is the shape that actually allows your baby to cup their tongue on the bottom and to latch deeply to it, similar to how they do at the breast. And when they are bottle feeding, I want you to utilize paced bottle feeding. I'm going to put a video up top on how to do that. These are the ways that we can try our best to avoid baby having a bottle preference. Now save this one for postpartum. I have big goals for 2026, and guys, I need your help to get there. Go ahead and click subscribe, pop on those notifications, send this to a pregnant friend. As promised, here's that video again, all on latching. And if you want a little more info, here are mistakes that I often see first-time breastfeeding parents make. So you can watch either of those and spread the love. As always, be happy, stay healthy, have fun. Bye.